Mark Means, the attorney for Lori Vallow, calls a letter sent out by the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to church leaders worldwide alarming and concerning in regards to his client's case. KPVI News That Works For You journalist Kate Garner breaks down the letter from the church as well as the attorney's response.
On June 4th, the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints sent this letter to church leaders regarding involvement in legal proceedings. It reads, quote, "We remind leaders and members of a long-standing policy that church leaders should not involve themselves in civil or criminal cases regarding members in their units, quorums, or organizations without first consulting the church legal counsel." The letter goes on to say that well-intended leaders may share information during court proceedings that may be misinterpreted and therefore damaging. It goes on to say, if local leaders believe that they should testify in a legal matter, that they should first contact church attorneys in Salt Lake City. On June 13th, Lori Daybell's attorney, Mark Means, issued a response to the letter. One must note, the letter does not address the Daybell case, but Means believes it could impact the case. And he notes that the letter was sent out on the second day of Chad Daybell's preliminary hearing. Means calls the letter alarming and concerning, saying, quote, "By way of issuing this correspondence on the second day of a preliminary hearing, the LDS Church has told approximately 26% of the residents of the state of Idaho to contact church legal counsel, to enter into a code of silence, and to only discuss their potential knowledge of this case and any other civil or criminal case after filtering said knowledge through the lens that is the LDS Church." He continues, "These LDS residents make up possible jury pool members, witnesses, judges, prosecutors, police officers, detectives, deputies, police chiefs or captains, and other elected and non-elected officials throughout the state of Idaho." He ends his response by saying, quote, "This policy is at least disturbing and at worst, criminal."
A correction is needed to insert at the beginning of this video after uploading and listening again to the news report. June 4th, not August 4th, that I say in the video. The particular hearing for Chad Daybell was on August 4th, I guess. But the letter by Nelson was June 4th. Which is even more significant because that most likely ties into a friend who emailed me the letter, and thus I would have responded over that weekend to have it available that Monday, June 8th. Or was it June 7th? Because he took him the next day to, let me check time and date real quick here. It would have been the Monday, whether the 7th or the 8th. Time and date. View calendar. Go back to the 20s. Alright, June 8th. Yes, that is the Monday. So 4th was Thursday after their meeting. He issued the letter after the big meeting with all of the other brethren. So don't think it's just Nelson. They all agreed and discussed this, came out with it. And so I had received the email with it from a friend, and then responded in my submissions over the weekend for the 8th. Defense counsel informed their client. And so, with that correction, Travis went good, so I'll have to edit out that first part. Trying to fix the camera lens. I finally got around to watching the clips of Chad Daybell's lawyer talking about the letter Nelson had sent out August 4th, or 2 days before August 4th, 2020. Informing all Mormons to remain silent and consult the church lawyers before involvement in lawsuits. And Chad Daybell's lawyer was actually concerned by the letter. He never really thanked him, as the one title said. The timing obviously is suspicious. As the lawyer pointed out, Mormons are all over Idaho, and Nelson is tampering with the jury pool and police officers and court officers and witnesses. That's witness tampering. And so yeah, I understand his concern. Very much so, because my lawsuit was wrapping up at that same time, as I had to file the second one in September. And so, yes, my lawsuit is also in play here. There's also Kay Burningham's sort of in play. But there were 3 known lawsuits at that time. Just so that you know. Don't just assume that it's the popular ones. As you can clearly see, the church is more successful in silencing me than with Kay's and Chad's. And it's actually Gaddy. Kay is the lawyer. And so, I should find that for you, because that was in the first lawsuit. And so lots of the things that have happened that you aren't sure why they happened or the source for which they happened. I know. Let's see. Jeffrey R. Holland, Rabbi interview. There it is. Second, the Elijah Interfaith Institute, 1 year ago. June, yes. A date which won't live in infamy because nobody but the prophets and I know of it. Memories on the corner of my mind. So yes, I see the dislikes extend beyond just the church and myself and a million viewers. So I don't know why they even bother with likes and dislikes now. It's now worthless. If you're just gonna ban them all, just, get rid of it. But they won't, because it has to do with the algorithm program. And they don't want to tamper with that. They're able to keep certain people silent. See, it was after this interview, the title, if you're curious, if you can't figure out Jeffrey R. Holland Rabbi interview is the search that pulled it up as the second thing on the list. Coronaspection interview with Jeffrey Holland, with Elder Jeffrey Holland. And it's 51 minutes, 44 seconds. It was nighttime in Israel, and so it was in the morning at 8 a.m., I believe, or yeah, 8 a.m. I remember, if I remember correctly. I leave you for a few moments. Misbehaves. It's like it's got a mind of its own, unless it's hackers. But Sunday night, and so it was submitted to the court Monday morning, as Holland had to wait for the interview to end before the defense counsel could counsel their clients on the recent submission. Memories on the corner of my mind. And we found out 2 weeks later that Holland was rushed to the hospital that day after his interview. Something happened to cause something unrelated to coronavirus that they didn't want to report about until he had returned home 2 weeks later. What could possibly have happened? I know. It's Mountain Dew, not Gatorade. I sterilize the bottles and then keep reusing them, sterilizing them after each use. So, it's not a cover-up. It's not Daddy's juice. Yeah. I submitted to the court, for the public record, the bombshell of all bombshells. For which, in the second lawsuit, or actually the final judgment, which happened after Nelson's letter by the Mormon justice, Waddups. So yeah, big compromised condition there as a federal judge biased to the defendant, as Nelson came out with a letter that Chad Daybell's lawyer thought it had applied to his case. You're going, Travis, you're teasing us. What is that bombshell? Guys, you all know it. Mormons are in denial of its meaning. Ex-Mormons are in denial of the seriousness of it. Saying, no, it couldn't possibly be that simple of a connection. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. I've gone over this with you. I've gone over church history, gone over the ancient symbol meaning, given you examples from the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith's theology on it. And yes, it is that simple. It is that obvious. And it's right there on the keystone of the Salt Lake Temple. And the keystone of the Eagle Gate on State Street that points directly at the state capitol, indicating through symbolism that they own and control the state government, and apparently also the federal judges, thus the federal government with the FBI, etc. How hast thou fallen from heaven? So, yeah, he then had to go to the hospital for 2 weeks. But he's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. That's why we waited 2 weeks to tell you. So yes, that letter was also about my case. Because Mormons were involved in the case. Judges were Mormon. And yeah, I was getting death threats by people listed in the lawsuit. It was a RICO Act, which means it's not one person. It's a conspiracy by definition. After an organized organization of criminal activity. So, yeah, I know you guys are rare to this channel, but there's a reason why you're rare. There's a reason why YouTube will not allow as many people as should normally be for this time. Because if you've been on YouTube for a while, you eventually add more and more people over time. And you're not supposed to get to that peak and then bottom out. And yes, coronavirus has partly to do with that. There are people I haven't heard from, and I'm concerned they're dead. David was resurrected. Busy. Too busy to watch my channel. But yeah, just so that you guys know, there are more things going on behind the scenes that the church doesn't want you to know about. And I have been an influence directly in the world's lives than everybody believes is possible. And yeah, this is a perfect case example. As Chad Daybell's lawyers think it applies to his case, which, yes, Nelson could be shooting down numerous birds with one shot, as he is the lone gunman. But yeah, he had already been aggravated by a particular case that began by coming forward, because that case was all about, I caught the church paying for my assassination. I got the receipts. So I am here petitioning for a redress of grievances. And Waddups in the end said, that's an ad hominem. You can't use that as evidence. Step down. You're compromised. Get out of here. But then there's no other justice. They're all compromised. The majority of them are Mormon. Only Oberg, or Schnoosh, the one that stepped in to replace first, Campbell. Judge Campbell is not Mormon, but clearly conflicted, as when you get threatened, like Judge First did, you have to conform and comply. Judge First failed and allowed Gaddy versus COP to proceed, and so she was terminated. And Salt Lake Tribune didn't mention that. It was just the front page news in Utah about how this is unprecedented to have a magistrate judge and the first female to be terminated after one term. She was the lawyer in that case, the judge in that case. And they didn't mention that. And then they reassigned her to me to remind her of why she's been fired. So yeah, she remained silent after I slammed the claim down. and the little girls in the auditorium behind me. So yeah, the church was getting tips from the court clerks. They were the ones notifying the defense counsel. So yeah, I didn't get treated very well after the second visit to the clerk's office for filings. The one woman refused to come help me. The other woman had to come and help me. It's just, guys, if you have to do this, the church isn't true. That's your first clue. Get away, run. The screen all of a sudden made me look pale, and then all of a sudden color came back.